correctly aligned, they have access to it, the funds are available, that type of thing. So really, to be blunt with you, it's a takeover. And hopefully it's not a hostile takeover.
Right, a friendly takeover.
And then we get into the health issues that we just touched on, making sure, and again, this would only be if the fiduciary was recruited to fulfill that function,
right.
Which would be under an advance directive, or in the case of conservatorship, under the conservatorship of the person. Making sure that there was communication established with the doctor, which hospital they should be recruited to, any long-term care placement, whether appropriate in their own home, and most people should be in their own home. Just want to make that very clear. But if they should be in assisted living or some other type of facility, medication types of things, and what I will do within my practice, because my skills are more on the financial side, is that I will always make sure that I hire somebody called a geriatric case manager. And so they will coordinate a lot of those things. They won't make the decisions, but they'll coordinate a lot of those types of activities for me.
Right, great. So what sort of oversight is there for the activities of professional fiduciary like yourself?
Yeah, this is a great question, because people come into me and say, Richard, and basically you're a stranger. We don't know you, you're not one of our children, and you never lived down the street from us, who the heck am I? So in terms of the oversight, if I named in the documents or I brought in somehow, the immediate oversight is with the family members, probably with the attorney, and then going up or along from that, the document, trust document. A lot of people get their 50-page trust document and they put it away and never look at it again. But really, I mean, that's my guidebook. The trust document tells me what I should be doing, who the key players are, and that type of thing. So that's my guidebook. So, again, I can be monitored in connection with the trust document itself. The other overpowering thing, and again, the attorneys will give more information on this, but there is the California Probate Code, which sets out a lot of guidelines. If the guidelines are not identified in the actual trust document, then the probate code can intervene. And that's a simple little California Probate Code document, probably about 1,000 pages or so. So very good nighttime reading on that.
Yeah.
And then for the professional fiduciary, of course, as we mentioned before, the Department of Consumer Affairs. There are some very specific regulations on how professional fiduciaries should behave, what they can do, what they can't do, and that type of thing. So even for the non-court supervised cases, there's quite a lot of oversight. Quite a number of cases I get involved with, some of them I believe you're connected with me on. We file accountings with the court, so there's very, very close oversight. We get questions from the court examiner. I was in court this morning and was questioned by the judge on the investments, and everything worked out fine. But so there's quite a bit of oversight. But it's definitely a question that the person who's considering using a professional fiduciary should be comfortable with before they go in that direction.
Well, I mean, quite often you hear horror stories, of people that abuse their authority as trustee and so forth, and like if nobody is looking, and if they're not going to an attorney or what have you. But again, a professional like yourself, I mean, basically, you want to be sure that you're covered and that you've got all of your things in order, because there are things like breach of fiduciary duty. So in other words, you can be sued by family members if you don't do it right. And of course, some of these other people may have gone hightailed it to Mexico, but anyway, assuming that you want to be here for the long term in your business, that's not the road that you would choose.
Right, but it is something that people should be aware of. I run my business very, very carefully, but as an individual, there are some risks. If I get hit by a truck, maybe you're better off with a bank trust company. But there are some guidelines in there, but the individual should look at it very, very carefully. We're talking about the abuse of the elder's assets, and that is a very real problem. I know that here in Santa Clara County, people are very aware of it. There's an Adult Protective Services number that anybody who's out there should feel no hesitation in calling Adult Protective Services if they feel their neighbor or family member has a problem like this, either with physical abuse or financial abuse. But what I've looked into over the last 10 to 15 years, being a private professional, being very active with my association, is that a significant amount, don't know the percentage, significant amount of the elder financial abuse does arise at the hands of family members.
Yes.
So, I'm not saying that the professionals are faultless in this whole thing, but the family members generally have conflicting interests with their siblings, which can be very, very powerful motivators to do bad and evil things.
Yeah. But related to something that you brought up now, if something did happen to you, now you have some sort of a succession plan in place, right? So that you have a relationship with another professional fiduciary that would step in for you in that situation, isn't that right?
Correct, and so the succession plan is key, and I'm very cautious. I wear my seatbelt in my car. I don't smoke, so try to reduce the risk. But as an example, the way my office is set up, I have 2 full-time staff people that have detailed information on my files, what's going on. And that's also a terrific safeguard as well. So if anything happened, they would have access to files and be able to transition into a new trustee, conservator, or executor. But then in addition to that, as part of our association, particularly here in Santa Clara County, there are other very, very skilled professional fiduciaries who would be able to take over my cases in the event of an emergency.
Right.
So we have regular monthly meetings and keep in close contact with each other.
Okay. And the last question, we can have very brief discussion, just a couple minutes left here, is what are the roles of the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Professional Fiduciaries Association of California? So you've got your PFAC organization that we talked about.
Right. Our PFAC organization is based in Sacramento. We have about just under 400 members, most of whom, of course, are licensed professional fiduciaries. And our goal there is to bring people into the professional fiduciary profession, educate, network, and make sure that we're learning as much as we possibly can about a very, very complex field. The Department of Consumer Affairs is our regulatory body. We as in PFAC, have some input on the regulators, but not a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it's time for us to start winding this thing down. So I want to thank you again for coming today. And wanted to let the folks who are watching know we have some contact information. So your website is www.rhlambie.com. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And so you can get in touch with Richard there. My information, if you need to get in touch with me, is financialinsiderweekly.com, and I'm looking for more guests for this show and more suggestions. And so you can write to me at michael@financialinsiderweekly.com. And until our next show, I wish you good financial health.
Thank you.